Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zita Parpale and I am a student of Rehan School, Growing Campus. I am studying class 7. My class name is the Future Navigators. So today we have the very honorable and grateful guest whose name is Sir Jim Johnson. So let's go and about himself and about his life journey. So welcome to our guest and let me know. Hello sir, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I am also good. Okay sir, before moving on the question, please introduce yourself.
Yes, I live in the United States. I was a long time uh, teacher and also high school basketball coach. And I also have been married for 41 years. We have one son that's an attorney, and I live in Rochester, New York. And I also was blessed to be part of a story that was very inspirational to people all over the world in 2006 with my young man named Jason McElwain. The world knows as JMac. And Jason's on the autism spectrum, but he had a very special night that many people were very touched by that we can delve in a little bit further if you'd like.
Amazing, and thanks for answer. So, sir, my first question from you. Can you please introduce yourself and provide an overview of your career as a professional speaker?
Sure. So I mentioned that I was a high school basketball coach and a teacher, and I was blessed to be part of a special moment that actually opened up some opportunities to be in the professional speaking career. So in 2006, I had this young man, Jason McElwain, the world knows as JMac, and he served as our team manager. He's on the autism spectrum, and he tried out for 3 years in a row, never making the team, but serving as our team manager. Well, Jason and I got very close, and I wanted to give him a special gift for his senior year for all his loyalty and commitment to the program. So I told him that I was going to give him a uniform for senior night, our final home game, and hopefully get him in the game. Well, that night came on February 15th. And with about 4 minutes to go, I put him in his first high school varsity basketball game, and the place exploded. And they were so excited to see Jason in on the basketball floor for the first time. Well, the first time Jason touched the ball, he had a 3-pointer from the right corner. The crowd stood in anticipation. It missed by like 6 feet. But Jason had great perseverance, and that wasn't going to stop him, even though he missed his first shot by a lot. The second shot he had, he this time he hit the rim. So I was like, all right, he's getting closer. Then the third time was another 3-pointer. This time, magic. The ball went in and the place erupted. And I thought, oh my gosh, it can't get any better than this, right? Wrong. For the next 3 minutes, Jason turned into his boyhood idol, the late Kobe Bryant, and he started making shot after shot, and the place went crazier and crazier. In fact, Jason ended the game by making a 21-foot shot at the buzzer, and the place erupted onto the floor, and our players put him up on their shoulders, and he had the game ball over his head. And when the public address announcer came on and said the leading scorer for Greece Athena tonight, J-Mac with 20 points. And that story ended up spreading all over the world. And it actually, people started to ask me about coming and speaking. So I developed a speech based on Jason's story called Dreams Really Do Come True, where I talk about 6 keys and I inspire people with Jason's story. And that started my professional speaking career. I did part time speaking while I was still teaching and coaching for the next 10 years. And now I'm a full time speaker, and not only do that inspirational speech, but I also do a lot of speeches on building team culture and leadership, how to be an effective leader, called Leadership Lessons from Half Court. I also do one on inclusion called Who's Your JMac? And I also do some workshops on goal setting and also on leadership concepts, as well as I wrote a book about it called A Coach in a Miracle. So, right now, for the last 7 years, I've been a full time professional speaker.
Amazing journey. Okay, sir, thanks for answer. My next question from you. What inspired you to become a professional speaker and coach?
Well, the first part I'll say about being a coach is my father was my high school basketball coach. So he inspired me and got me really interested in sports, and basketball became my first love. So when I couldn't play basketball anymore, I wanted to be able to give back to help young people with the game of basketballs. So I was inspired to be a coach, which I did for 35 years, including 30 years as a head coach. As far as a professional speaker, I started to get my own personal development where I started to study the greats of personal development. People like the late Jim Rohn or the late Zig Ziglar or Tony Robbins or Brian Tracy and many, many more. And so I started to really enjoy what they were doing. I said, oh, boy, I'd like to be able to do that too. And then when J Mac's story exploded around the world, it opened some doors to let me try to inspire and motivate people with my message. And I still today, even though I'm retired from teaching and coaching, I love inspiring people by sharing my message and also by sharing posts on social media. Like I do a morning success thought, I do a leadership thought every day, and I just try to share ideas to help people become better as a person and also as a leader.
Okay, sir, thanks for answer. So my next question, could you share some of the key messages or themes you focus on in your speaking engagements?
Sure. So I started as an inspirational speaker, as a motivational speaker, but in the last 6 or 7 years, I've done a lot. Leadership is something I really enjoy. I still study it. In fact, I do a podcast with two other people called the Limitless Leadership Lounge, where we've interviewed great leaders from all over the world, and we try to help young and emerging leaders with our podcast. And for my speeches, I focus on inspiration, leadership, building team culture, and how to include everybody. So those are things I focus on trying to help others. And I also do a presentation on how to be a more powerful public speaker because a lot of people fear public speaking. And like anything, it's a skill. And if you practice it, you can become quite good at it.
Okay, sir, thanks for answer. So how do you prepare and tailor your presentations for different audience?
That's a great question because I speak to businesses, I speak to a lot of schools, both the students and the staff. I also speak at associations and all kinds of different events. So the main thing is my core message. Most people want to hear. They want to be inspired by a story, but also you have to customize depending on who you're speaking to. You have to change some of your stories or ideas based on the audience. So if you have a younger audience, you might share a couple stories that are more pertinent to them. And for an older audience, you do the same. And so you really got to make sure as a speaker that you know your audience so you can impact them and help them solve some of the problems in their life.
Okay, sir, thanks for answer. So my next question, what is the most rewarding aspect of being a professional speaker for you?
Well, the biggest thing for me is it's a great way to make an impact. And that's why I take so much pride in trying to develop presentations that can make a positive impact on people. So I want to give them inspiration. I also want to give them knowledge and ideas that they can implement in their life to make them better. And so for me, the most rewarding aspect is the ability to impact people in a positive way, and also the fact that you get to meet a lot of great people because building relationships is such an important part of life.
Okay, sir, thanks for answer. So can you describe a particularly memorable or impactful speaking engagement you have had?
Yeah, so I've had so many, but I was very blessed. There's a organization in the United States called the Franklin Covey Organization. In fact, Dr. Covey wrote the highly regarded book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And a number of years ago, I got to speak at Salt Lake City, where they're based, Utah, their Global Leadership Summit. and I got to inspire the people. And what was so memorable is they didn't tell the audience who was coming. I was called the mystery speaker. So what they did is they showed the video of Jason scoring all those baskets, and then they said, "Now we'd like to introduce you to the coach that put Jason in the game." And when I walked out, they gave me a standing ovation before I ever said a word. So I was literally numb when I was on the stage. And then the beautiful thing is I was able to give a really strong presentation, and they gave me another standing ovation at the end. So it was certainly one of my most memorable events, because the people treated me so well, and I was able to make an impact on them.
Amazing, and thanks for answer. So my next question: what advice do you have for individuals looking to pursue a career in professional speaking?
Well, it's a great question, because I think that the key is you have to come up and be have some type of expertise that can help people solve their problems. So for me, like I want to inspire people to overcome adversity like Jason did. Another thing I want to do is help people become better leaders, because when you become a better leader of yourself, you lead yourself better, and then you can lead others, and that's how you build a great team culture. I also like to help people with including all people, like we did with JMac. And I also want to teach them how to build a positive team culture, which is so important in building any type of organization where you're working with people. So the major key is I want to find ways to solve people's problems and the things that I know very well. There's only a few things I know quite well in leadership and building teams and inspiring people are the things that are my strengths. So as a speaker, my advice to you is find something you're passionate that you will make a study and learn as much as you can, and then find ways that you can solve people's problem so they want to bring you in to hear your message.
Okay, sir, thanks for answer. Sir, how do you stay updated and relevant in your field to provide valuable insights to your audience?
Well, the key is, I think Carol Dweck in her book called Mindset, she talks about having either a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And mine is a growth mindset. I'm an idea seeker. So my advice to the people listening to this is you got to make it a study. So learn as much as you can of the topics and be a lifelong learner. And how I do that, I'm a constant reader. I read every day. I also listen to a lot of podcasts and audio programs. I also ask a lot of questions. We have our own podcast, so we interview some of the best leaders around the world, and I'm getting insight. I'm also part of some groups, what they call masterminds, where I talk to other leaders and learn what they're doing, and we can help each other. So a lot of different things, but the big thing is that you continue to grow yourself every day. And I call it being consistent by having a personal growth plan, being intentional to try to grow a little bit each day by feeding your mind with positive and good information.
Okay, sir, thanks for answer. So my next question: how do you handle challenging or difficult audience members during your presentations?
Well, that's a tough question, because certainly you want to get to know your audience the best you can before you get to the presentation. And even if you can meet the people in the audience before you present, that's very helpful. So they know you a little bit before you go on and present to them. Secondly, by knowing your audience, you're going to try to customize your presentation with the stories and your points that will be relative to them. And then the other thing is, as you're speaking, you got to realize you got to read your audience. So you got to be looking at their faces and their body language. Are they look excited about hear what you're saying, or do they look like they're bored? If they're bored, then you better change, whether it be the change your voice or a pause or ask them a question or have them do a little activity with a partner to get them moving again. So there's different ways as a speaker, if you start to lose your audience, where you can gain them back. And the last thing I'll say, as a speaker, you have to develop and share really powerful stories that will impact, whether these stories will inspire them or teach them or touch their hearts. Those are some of the things you want to do when you have a story.
Okay, so thanks for answer. So could you share some tips for effective public speaker speaking and communication?
Well, the first thing I'll say, I'll repeat myself, is that you got to capture really good stories. Sometimes you're part of a good story. And I think the more stories you can capture that you're actually part of, because you'll really feel those and the audience will know that you're part of it. But you can also learn stories that you read about or hear about that you can share as well. I don't think they're quite as powerful, but they still are. Secondly, you have to study the craft of speaking. So that means that you ask questions during your presentation. You have what we call a powerful pause. So when you say something impactful or make a question, that you're quiet and let the audience think. You also find ways to get them involved by maybe doing a partner exercise or another, maybe a group activity, just to keep them involved in the presentation. And then mix it up by having a PowerPoint. You can share some different slides. Like I share a video that's very powerful. You can do that. So there's different ways to keep your audience engaged. And lastly, I'll say, make sure that you make your movements so that you're coming to the audience and they feel like that you're part of them.
Okay, so thanks for answer. So my next question: what strategies do you employ to maintain your energy and enthusiasm during long speaking engagements or workshops?
Well, I think the first thing is to have energy, you have to take care of yourself. So it's important. I encourage your listeners that you got to take care of yourself to have energy. So how do you do that? Well, number one is you got to make sure you get good sleep. So start to have a regular routine when you go to bed, when you wake up, and try to get between 7 and 8 hours of sleep every night. All the research is saying how important sleep is. Number two, that you eat the right foods. Now, I'm far from perfect. I eat some foods I shouldn't, but I try to eat as much good food as I can to help with my energy. Thirdly, is that I find ways to exercise. So I like tennis, for example. So I play a lot of tennis. I also do other exercises and strength training to help me stay physically fit. And then you also got to be mentally fit. So things like I pray and I meditate each day. Those are ways that I can keep mentally fit so that I have the energy. And then lastly, as a speaker, it's just being really excited about the presentation you're making, because you know you can make an impact on the audience, and that will bring out good energy for you. But it starts with taking care of yourself with some of the ideas I shared.
Okay, so thanks for answer. So my next question: in your experience, what are some mistakes? What are some common mistakes that noise speakers often make, and how can they be avoided?
Okay, that's a great question. There's a lot. I'll give you a few. So, one, in speaking a lot today, people use a PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint should be there to enhance your presentation, not be your presentation. Too often, I see early speakers or novice speakers read the PowerPoint, and that's insulting to the audience. They can read the PowerPoint. So you should use the PowerPoint to, it could be a picture with just a few words on it, and it can help enhance your message, but you shouldn't be ever reading your PowerPoint or looking back at your PowerPoint. You should know that. Number two is have clarity of what's your message and what the points you're trying to make. And when you do that, make sure that you have examples and stories to base those points. Like if one of your point is to have clarity in your mission, Then talk about what it takes to be a mission. Share a story about it. Also, you got to have some platform skills, like the ability to change your voice, use the pause, ask questions, raise your voice, then lower your voice to capture the audience. So you got to keep them engaged with various ways that you move your body and use your voice, and also make sure that you keep eye contact. You don't want to look down when you're talking to the audience. You want to look at them and try to make good eye contact with them. And usually make eye contact with someone in the audience for a few seconds, then move and make eye contact with another person. So those are some tips that I think can help you become a more effective speaker.
Okay, sir, thanks for answer. So my next question, can you share some insights on the relationship between public speaking and leadership development?
Well, in my case, because I talk a lot about leadership and leadership development, so that's really a major topic for me. But I also believe as a public speaker, as a leader, you should become a better public speaker. So, because communication is so important to be an effective leader. So, the ability to share a message with your team in a public speaking opportunity is very powerful. So, I always recommend to leaders that you become better public speakers because you can share a message. But that also includes, as a leader, that you use those ears, because we only have one mouth and two ears, that as a leader, you got to listen twice as much as you talk. But when you talk, you should become more effective as a public speaker, because that can help you become a better leader.
Okay, sir, thanks for answer. So my next question, what resources or books would you recommend to someone interested in improving their public speaking skills?
Well, the great John Maxwell is one of the outstanding leadership gurus of the world. He's in the United States. And John wrote a book recently on communication. But I think you should make public speaking a study. So, reading various books on public speaking is something, and how to be a more effective communicator. There's a lot of great ones out there. I'm a big fan of John Maxwell. Um, but find the people that you really like. But there are so many good books out there. John Maxwell is one that I think would be a great start to learn to be a more effective communicator.
Okay, sir, thanks for answer. So finally, what are your future goals and aspirations as a professional speaker and coach?
Well, for me, my dream is I've been mostly a speaker in the United States, and I've done a little bit in Canada. So I would like to be more of a global speaker. The only global speeches I've done has been on the internet, through Zoom. So I'd love to be able to travel to other countries and share my message. Hopefully someday I'll get to Pakistan. But that's one of my major dreams. Is I want to continue to expand the world with my message to help more people. And so I'd like to travel more to other countries, not just the United States.
Okay, so sir, lastly, would you like to give the advice with our audience?
I'm sorry, what was that? Give advice, what?
Would you like to give the advice with our audience?
Yeah, so I think the last thing I'll say from an advice standpoint is that uh, we're forgetting sometimes that we're all people. Doesn't matter what race, what gender, what religious beliefs we are all people. So my goal is I want to be intentional in building relationships and being kind to all people. And I encourage our listeners to be kinder and to help serve others to make the world a better place.
Okay, sir, thank you for your beautiful advice. So, sir, I invite you my school, Rehan School, Colony campus. When you come in Pakistan, so please visit our school.
I hope I can do that someday. So yeah, keep me posted and please send me the link and I'll post that up on my network as well.
Okay, sir. So, viewers, I am Hijab Akbar Kwali and my guest, Sir Jim Johnson. So, I hope that you understand our interview and sir share some insightful knowledge and share some insightful knowledge. So, I hope that you understand. So, see you in my next interview. Until then, bye bye. Okay, sir.
Bye
Thank you
bye.
so much. Bye bye.
My pleasure. Thank you. Bye.